Hey, man, just because your favorite artist is Kanye doesn't mean you're on the right side of history, okay?
Well, in my defense, I only became a fan of Kanye after 2021.
Right, so he's not so anti-racist as he'd like to have you think. No, this is all getting cut. Hello, De Niro Nation, and welcome to Our Hero De Niro, the only podcast watching and recapping Robert De Niro's entire filmography in random order. I'm Mike, here as ever with my co-host Mike.
No relation.
And today we are so excited to welcome back special guest star, friend of the pod, wife of the pod, and our literary adaptations consultant, Caroline.
Heyo, it's me. I'm back.
We're so happy and so lucky to have you here today to discuss Alfonso Cuarón's 1998 film, Great Expectations, starring Robert De Niro. Mike, had you ever heard of or seen this film before we rolled and watched it for the podcast?
No, I mean, I certainly was familiar with the book upon which it was based. I'd read that back in 7th or 8th grade. I don't know when we did that, but we did that back in the day. I was not aware of this film adaptation, though, but I was excited when we rolled it because I like the director. This is the 4th of his films that I had seen, so I was interested. I was intrigued.
Mm-hmm. I was definitely really excited to watch this film as well. What about you, Caroline? Had you ever heard of or seen this film?
I had, yes. I watched it, I think in college, of my own free will, because it seemed interesting to me. And it had a director and composer duo that may figure into my suggestions later in the podcast. So I was intrigued. So yes, I had seen this before, and I hadn't read the book, though, but I read it in advance of this podcast so that I could talk
You
about
hadn't
it.
read Great Expectations, but I had.
Yeah,
I know, nor have I, by the way.
With the same English classes. I remember doing Tale of Two Cities, but I never did Great Expectations in school. Did we have different English classes in 7th? Because
you are asking the wrong. Right. For those who maybe don't remember from Caroline's previous appearances on this podcast, we were in the same grade growing up in school. Apparently, I read more classic English literature than she did, though. So.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, because you didn't double up on English classes like I did. You didn't read Frankenstein twice.
I didn't have to.
You couldn't have.
I'm a one and done kind of guy.
Yeah.
You're more like a no thank you type of guy.
You save the roast comedy for another fucking podcast. That I'm not the host.
Why don't you save the roast comedy for last week's episode about the comedian? You have to go back in time and be on that episode, Caroline. Yeah, so I'd certainly never heard of this film prior to watching it for the podcast. Of course, I had heard of Great Expectations, the novel, but I've actually never read it, in spite of taking English literature or British literature in AP Lit in my senior year of high school, as well as several British Lit classes in college when I did my undergrad English minor. So I don't know, somehow never read this one. And honestly, didn't know anything about the story going in. Like, pretty incredible literary blind spot for me. And it was, I don't know, it was pretty wild experiencing the story for the first time in this form. This is a really crazy movie.
Well, it had been so long since I had read the book that I really forgot most of the plot. And the film does take some liberties. So I did reread the Wikipedia page of the novel after I watched the film, just to have that refresher.
It's honestly significantly less crazy than the book.
Yep, I did not. I really enjoyed when we did Frankenstein a few months ago that I had also never read Frankenstein and had created this weird amalgamation in my mind of what I thought Frankenstein was about that wasn't what it was actually about. And so, learning about Frankenstein for the first time from Caroline's contributions to the podcast was a really enjoyable experience for me. And so I'm excited to do it again today with Great Expectations. I can kind of imagine, based on my freak amalgamated knowledge of Great Expectations that I have, a la Frankenstein, what the basis from a book perspective may have been for the story they told in this film. But, obviously a 19th century work of British literature was not about something happening between, I think, like South Central Florida and New York City. So I'm sure some serious liberties were taken with the source material.
Yes.
All right. Well, a little bit about this film. So it's from 1998, as I believe I may have said, and it stars, in addition to Robert De Niro, Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Hank Azaria. And it was a critical failure with a 41 on Rotten Tomatoes and was a modest box office success, grossing, I believe, about $55 million on a $25 million budget. And I did read on Wikipedia that Ethan Hawke felt that the film would have performed better at the box office if it hadn't been competing with Titanic.
Oh,
yeah, probably
the period when it came out. So pretty fucking brutal. Not a great film to be competing with when you two are making kind of like a weird historical-ish in nature romantic drama.
I'm going to stop you. I think you need to give Anne Bancroft a shout out too. So
sure,
she's also in
the old lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anne Bancroft, you guys.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I mean, listen, I don't know her.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I cannot
Mrs.
think
Robinson.
of a single thing I've ever seen her in. Well, what do you guys think? Should we get right into it?
Let's do it.
Go for it, man. It's your recap.
Right.
You're the conductor of this runaway train.
So
Such
the
a
film,
smooth intro.
Yep, the film opens, and it opens with a very wet-looking introduction. There's like kind of a credits roll that happens, and there's a lot of like watery filters over the text as it's flying across the screen. And there's a very odd stylization to the typeface. Did you guys notice this?
Yeah.
I noticed that anytime they used the F, they used the f-stop symbol, like in photography. Is interesting. You guys have any idea what this might have been, or was it just artsy fake bullshit?
I feel like it
I
was
was trying to look throughout the film. I was like, what is this an allusion to?
I'm inclined to agree. I think it was the latter. I think it was the artsy stuff because it also had this ripple effect that I found quite distracting.
Yes. So we open right up and we see a child version of the character whom Ethan Hawke is going to play, Finn. And he's drawn some little doodles in his notepad while he walks around in the ocean. And there's some narration by Ethan Hawke. So, kind of narrating memories of his childhood.
There's a lot of narration by Ethan Hawke.
There is a lot of narration in this film. Yes, there certainly is. And he says he's not going to tell the story the way it happened. He's going to tell it the way that he remembers it. And then right away, we get a very early Robert De Niro jump scare.
Very much
Mike,
so.
you want to say when we see old RDN's face on the screen?
Yeah, I had the De Niro face reveal timed at 3 minutes and 55 seconds. And let me just say, jump scare indeed. I literally yelled, "Holy fuck," when he made his first appearance.
It kind of scared the shit out of me too, to be honest. Like, yeah, yep.
Explain what he was doing, because it's ridiculous. Explain why it was a jump scare.
I don't think I understood. Like, he's just laying underwater, right?
Yeah,
like, what?
He was hiding.
Yeah, he was
But
hiding.
how are you going to hide underwater? Like, you can only lay underwater for like, even if you're really good at holding your breath, like maybe 75 seconds, like a minute, 75 seconds. Like,
did you not
that's
watch
a terrible hiding place?
Did you not watch Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, where Tom Cruise holds his breath for like 3 minutes straight?
Yeah, you think that this random criminal played by Robert De Niro has the physical fitness of Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible?
Well, we'll never know if his character in this film, Great Expectations, was a former IMF agent.
So Robert De Niro jump scares up out of the water, and his character's name is, because I wrote him as Robert De Niro all the time in my notes, but I'd like to say
Arthur
correctly.
Lustig.
Arthur Lustig, yes. So Lustig. So he jump scares out of the water and threatens Finn. He tells him not to tell anybody about how we found him here and not to tell his parents. And we get a little bit of exposition via Finn responding to Lustig, wherein he tells him that his parents are dead. And Lustig lets him go, contingent on a promise to return the next day with, I think, bolt cutters and
food.
I don't know. Food. Yes, bolt cutters and food.
So some differences between the book and the movie, in broad strokes, is about the same. In the book, the main character's name is Pip, which his full name is Philip Pirrip. And so it's really, this movie is guilty of Philip erasure. So that'll upset some of your listeners here.
Shout
So
out
his
to
name
friend
is
of the
Pip.
pod, Philip.
And when he was a boy, he could not say either one of his names, and the sound Pip stuck. So he's Pip. And the book begins in a graveyard. He is hanging out next to his parents' graves. He is a true Dickensian orphan. And then Abel Magwitch, who is the Robert De Niro character, pops up from behind a gravestone, which is a much better hiding place than underwater, and does threaten him within an inch of his life, and tells him to get him a file to file his shackles away. And Pip just happens to be to live with a blacksmith, that is Joe, and so he is able to do that. So real stroke of luck for Magwitch that he happened to accost a young boy who does have easy access to a blacksmith's file.
What does it matter what color the smith is?
Jesus Christ.
I'm not going to dignify that with a laugh.
Oh my God.
Thanks, I'll be here all week.
Blacksmith is the black handler of this episode.
Oh God!
So I have a serious question. So he references it, right? Ethan Hawke in his narration that this is IMF agent Ethan Hawke references it in his initial expository narration, where he says he's going to tell the story the way he remembered it, right? So this is a film in its kind of expressionist cinematography and editing that is about the fallibility and unreliability of human memory, right? Is the book about that at all?
No.
So it's not like gothic in nature in any way, like there isn't any unreliability to the narration?
It's gothic in nature, but it's way more about very strange coincidences that befall this young boy and the people in his life. It's really just a large scale coincidences in this novel, but it isn't about the fallibility of memory or anything poetic like that.
Yeah, isn't it more about like class and social mobility?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this movie is about too.
Right.
The things can be about more than one thing.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's more about like the
not in this case.
Stuff.
All right, sure.
Why don't you go ahead and write the great American novel and get back to us?
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Well, I just asked the question because in the movie, the scene with Lustig happens so soon after Ethan Hawke gave his narration about the unreliability of memory that I wondered if maybe Lustig wasn't as scary or as threatening as he seemed in Finn's memory. Like maybe this wasn't as scary an event in reality as he depicts it, as he tells it in his narration about his life. But that's not the case in the novel. Like there's no doubt on the reader's part, on the part of the reader, that like he actually was threatened to within an inch of his life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That like the ferocity of Magwitch or Lustig's like assault on this boy is pretty much the same. He really manhandles him and really like traumatizes him in a pretty deep way.
We get some more Ethan Hawke narration. His family is poor. He lives with, let's see, I don't think I wrote it down, but he lives with his sister, whose name I don't remember. She's not a very important character. And his sister's husband, a guy named Joe, who's a local fisherman. I believe that this early part of the film, I think, is supposed to take place in maybe the 60s. Ah, fuck, I really should have looked up the history of what was going on here.
It's the 70s.
You think it's the 70s?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the main part of the narrative takes place in the 80s.
The main part of the narrative takes place in 1998.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
He's a teenager in the 80s.
Right.
He is an adult. He's 25 years old in 1998.
Correct.
Why do you think that?
Because when one of the flashbacks when they're both 16, Gwyneth Paltrow says, "By the way, it's the 80s" for the audience.
Yeah.
And then, that was another flashback, though, to when they are
Gotcha.
16.
Okay. So I must have I'm not challenging you. I was just wondering if you had more information than I did.
The adaptation was set in then contemporary times.
Right.
I think I
90s.
misunderstood how much time passed between the teenage portion of the narrative and the adult portion of the narrative. So yes, so it's like the 70s.
Yeah.
So I should have looked this up.
The narration he said at some point how many years had passed between like his prom and the rest of the story.
So I should have looked this up. So I don't know what the historical basis of this is. But his brother-in-law, Joe, is a fisherman. And Ethan Hawke narrates that at the time when the story of the film is starting, the government had just passed a law essentially outlawing these large types of fishing rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of America, where Joe had been a fisherman making a good living catching fish on these big fishing rigs. And so now the family is really struggling. Joe can't make the kind of money he was making fishing before. And so he's kind of taken to doing odd jobs, and they're really in very dire straits financially. The family is. We get that kind of exposition from him being at home with the sister and brother-in-law for a little while. And then the next night, Finn sneaks out and he brings all the stuff that Lustig asked for. He brings him some food, he brings him bolt cutters, and he brings him a bottle of, I think, some kind of whiskey, right?
And some medicine, like some controlled substances, which I don't think he asked for.
So at this point, I noted that it appears that Lustig is an escaped prisoner of some kind. His legs are shackled. He cuts the shackles with the boat cutters and says some like weird stuff to Finn about how people think that it's the eyes that you need to look into to see a man's soul, but it's actually his hands. Because by what a man's hands look like, you can tell what kind of work he does, what kind of person he is, etc.
What Louis Cypher believes.
Finn, oh yeah, this is a very Louis Cypher coded type character, yeah. So Finn drives him away on his boat. He's got a little outboard motor, like small little rig
a dinghy
that he has. A dinghy, yes. And as they're driving away, a police boat approaches. Lustig jumps out before the police boat is within eyesight and swims behind a nearby buoy. The police boat tows Finn's boat away without Lustig. And Finn drops a PFD, personal flotation device, for Lustig, and that's the end of the arc with Lustig at this point.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the latter half of those pretty much the same between book and movie, except that there is a lot more about Pip's older sister, Mrs. Joe, she's called in
the book. There's more.
Yes, she is
in the book.
Yes,
there's more.
She is incredibly abusive, and Pip says that many of his adult relations, they extol her for having brought him up, quote, by hand, unquote. And he has a little aside yeah, she brought me up by hand, upside my face all the time. So he gets beaten a lot by his horrible sister, and that's really too bad for him. Eventually, the sister is clocked in the head with some leg manacles and is so badly injured she loses her ability to speak. And so that's just kind of happening as well to his sister.
Yeah, for comparison's sake, how long is Great Expectations?
Quite long.
It's 800 pages long, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. My dear co-host didn't mention the length of this film, but it's 111 minutes. So they condense a lot to make it fit within that time.
The audiobook is often 12 to 13 hours, so a little more detail in the book.
I don't know why you would bother wasting 12 to 13 hours listening to the audio adaptation of Great Expectations when you could listen to 6 to 7 episodes of Our Hero De Niro.
It's a really good point.
Very
well
both,
said.
Actually.
Thank you. Yeah. You're a pro? Yeah, have one playing in one ear and one in the other.
Exactly. At 2x speed.
Oh, absolutely. Going
That's
Andrew mode.
All right. So the next day, Joe and Finn are off to do a gardening job at some giant mansion, Paradiso Perduto. Is that from the novel? Is that also what the state is called? No. Okay.
It's called Saddest
doesn't matter.
House in the novel.
Yep.
Yeah, too ethnic.
Okay. Sure. Yep.
It was Paradiso. No hablo inglés.
This place is owned by a lady named Nora Dinsmore, who is alternately described as the richest woman in the area and the richest woman in Florida. While they're there gardening, Finn is hanging out outside in a courtyard area, and some other kid approaches him, a little girl, and she's shot very dreamily. So you can tell that this is going to be Finn's love interest. She has insanely long hair. That was something I noticed while I was watching it. I was like, man, this girl's probably what do you think? She's supposed to be maybe 9 or 10 years old. Her hair is down to her knees.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot for a little kid to manage. I don't know. It doesn't seem like an amazing hairdo for a 9 or 10-year-old child.
Well, he's saying it the way he remembers it. Maybe there were actually brambles in her hair, which would make a lot more sense given her living situation.
She walks away, and Joe calls Finn to leave, and he's got an envelope that Nora's given him, $500, quote, gas money. And when they get back to their house, Joe's wife, Finn's sister, is on the phone with the Nora lady, and she has invited Finn to come play with the little girl who lives on her estate with her. Joe is suspicious about it, like a normal fucking person. But the sister is totally supportive, and she seems kind of greedy and acquisitive in this moment. There's a news report about Lustig on the TV. The report says he was a convicted murderer, killed some kind of mobster, and he was caught by the police and is scheduled to be executed relatively soon.
So in the book version, the woman's name is Mrs. Havisham, which I don't know why they changed that exactly, but sure, whatever. It's Mrs. Havisham.
It wasn't hip enough for a late 90s audience.
Yeah, I guess not.
Well, I think the name Nora's great. So
that is a great name.
It's a great cosign.
So she is looking for a little boy, basically, to play with her adopted daughter, not her niece, and a family friend of Pip's named Mr. Pumblechook. A lot of really good names in the novel. Mr. Pumblechook is like, oh, I know a boy. I shall set him up with this little girl, and so that's how he ends up going to Mrs. Havisham's house to play with Estella.
My thought about this scene is it's fucking crazy, and I think it speaks to how difficult this novel is to adapt in a modern setting or context. Yeah. Because I was getting like Michael Jackson, Neverland Ranch comparisons popping up in my mind. Like, okay, this rich lady that they didn't meet just calls their landline one day and is like, have the kid come over.
Send your little boy over.
Drop him off. You don't have to stay. We're going to hang out. We're going to have some fun.
Don't.
Right. Yep. It really insists that you don't stay. And like, felt that was just so bizarre, and it probably worked better when the novel was published than it did in this late 90s setting. I think most parents of the late 90s would think that's pretty insane stuff. So it just, I don't know, it was interesting.
So Finn goes to the house and he rings a weird doorbell, and he goes inside. And earlier, either Joe or maybe a narration, something had said that the lady Nora is crazy because she was left at the altar. And so I wrote here, the house looks fucking crazy inside. It is in such disrepair. I guess the Nora lady really is crazy. Because I wondered in the narration, like, is she actually crazy, or is this just one of those like legends about a local person who like actually isn't really as crazy as everybody thinks that they are? But it seems like this lady actually is really nuts based on the events of the novel. So he goes inside and he sees her, and she looks fucking nuts. And, there's only one thing that I can possibly compare her to. And so I'm so grateful that we are recording this episode when we are. She looks exactly like the old lady from Weapons. Like, it was all I could think about anytime she was on the screen. Yeah, like that's just like exactly the way her makeup is done. Just like white foundation, white, like slightly pinkish blush, really garish lipstick, like really heavy eyeliner.
It's very
she
Baby
looks
Jane.
Insane. I will say right about the house, and now that I've described it, I want to say, I don't think that we're supposed to think the house was really this bad. And we're probably not supposed to think that Nora actually looked this crazy. I mean, Ethan Hawke said in his narration that this is the way he remembered it. It's not the way that it happened. When you're a kid, things are exaggerated, the way that you perceive them. And so I'm guessing that we are supposed to understand that the house was not literally in as serious of disrepair, nor was Nora actually as like nutso looking as is depicted in these scenes.
I feel like you are I'm excited to be able to get a second opinion here, because I feel like you are placing more importance on the unreliability of the narration, the way it works in this film, because I'm thinking, Ethan Hawke's character, Finn, eventually returns to the mansion, and it's just as worn down and decrepit as it was as in his childhood memories. So, like, I don't know, like, what difference does it make?
Let's hear Caroline's second opinion, and then I'll share my my supporting justification.
I think I'm more on non-husband Mike's side here.
That's me, for the record. For those who don't know, this is people might be dropping in.
I think that it would be interesting if that was the way that he remembered the house as a kid. I think it would be interesting if if this was an exaggerated way that Finn remembers things. What I thought was curious was that the mansion both is and is not as insane as it is in the book. In the book, the mansion is like livable, but it has not been like cleaned, and nothing has been moved since the day that Mrs. Havisham was left at the altar. And she, quite memorably, has stayed in her old wedding dress for decades. The very upsetting thing I learned about Mrs. Havisham in most of the movie adaptations. And
Miss Havisham.
Miss, yes, of course.
That's
Miss,
right. Yeah, she was never
the
married.
Whole point.
Let's say Ms. Havisham. Cast some doubt.
Have some respect.
So Miss Havisham is usually played by like an elderly woman, or else she's made up to look very, very old. Like maybe she has been here for decades. She's supposed to be, quote, scarcely 40, unquote. According to Dickens's notes. So that sucks for everybody. But she looks much older because she has avoided the sun for so long. So, Victorian era, they didn't really understand things about what the sun does to your skin. Anyway, yeah, in the books, her thing is that she is still wearing the wedding dress that she was left at the altar in. And in the mansion in the movie, you can see the remains of like the bridal banquet that was left out there. But while as in the book, that is like her defining characteristic. In the movie, she seems to like have some things that make her happy. Like we see her in a really nice, clean, new outfit that's very much not a wedding dress, and she's like dancing, and seems to have some joy in her life. In the book, she sees her entire life through the filter of her abandonment at the altar. What are you smiling at? What's this?
This is like some Andrew quality.
Shut the fuck up! I'm talking.
Character analysis.
God damn it! I'm trying to respond to her question. I was smiling because this was all a response to my point about the unreliable narrator trope. You just went off about her dress and how crazy she must smell down there. Oh my god.
Oh my god. All right, so listen, I think you guys are wrong. And I don't want to I'm sorry to do like a huge diversion, but I think this is critical to understanding this film and like the ways that it does and does not work. I perceive especially now in light of Caroline saying that the book does not have this dimension to it at all, the purported unreliability of the main character's memory, and this is a first person narrative, this story, right, is meant to explain away some of the absurd things about the story. Like the mansion is one of those things. Later on, we alluded to this earlier in the discussion, that this film covers a very British style class, like set of class dynamics and like aristocracy that we do not have in modern America. Like that just like is not a thing. And I feel like it feels fucking crazy when you engage with it. Like, there's a moment later in the film when Joe comes to his art show and it's like this huge scandal that Joe is like a little bit of a hick. And it's like, that's not what would happen. This isn't 19th century Britain. This is like America of the 1990s. If like a slightly like eccentric dude came into an art show and it was like the artist's father, that would not be a scandal. Like everybody would just be like, oh, that guy was like a little bit weird. Like it would not be a big deal at all. Like I feel like the fact that this is supposed to be unreliable is central to Cuarón's like entire point in the film. Like otherwise nothing about it works at all. And I don't know how well it works, to be honest, like even with that explanation. But like it's absurdist. Like it's got a surrealist kind of quality to it. So it's like, I don't know. I don't agree with you guys at all that I'm overly centering it. I think it is like one of the 2 or 3 most important things about the film.
Well, I think it was a curious choice for an adaptation. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
So they're doing dancing, as Caroline alluded to earlier. And while they're in the middle of dancing to this crazy song that's playing, she like loses track of what's going on and stops and then grabs Finn's hand and makes him touch her boob, which is super weird. That's some Neverland Ranch shit, as you mentioned earlier. And she sits down and starts smoking and insists very angrily that Finn dance for her. He can't dance, but offers to draw. And Yeah, we know he's good at drawing. So there you go. Estella is the little girl's name who he met earlier. She comes into the room and Nora asks Finn what he thinks of her. And he says that she's pretty, but she's a snob and he doesn't think that she likes him very much. Finn draws a portrait of Estella and Nora asks him if he'd like to come back again. And he says yes. While Estella walks him out, they share a drinking fountain and make out through the water. And it's a very weird scene of two children tongue kissing very sensually through a drinking fountain. It's very strange.
Very weird choice. I think that like the film has a lot of like erotic tones to it that definitely aren't in the book and are kind of a weird choice since, yeah, it is children literally tongue kissing on like a drinking fountain in a very strange way. But the part about Miss Havisham or Nora and her saying that her heart was broken, that is in the book. However, she does not make Finn touch her boob. She just, or Pip rather, she just says, my heart is broken. And Pip says she seems proud of it.
So we get some narration from Ethan Hawke that after this first time where he was over at Nora's house, his sister left the family. So she went to work her like restaurant job or wherever she works one night and just went out and never came home again. And Joe raises him, even though his sister left. And Joe's a pretty stand-up guy. You know, I really liked that character. Can you tell us a little bit about the character of the brother-in-law in the novel, please? Is it a similar character? Is their relationship similar to Finn's relationship with
yes.
Joe?
Joe is a very simple but unfailingly good-hearted man. So he wouldn't hurt a fly. He's just a good guy and has a very particular way of speaking that I will not try to approximate. But he's a sweetheart in both things.
You'd really anger our British listeners.
No, she just doesn't want to be racist against blacksmiths.
Classic. Oh, man.
I can't do the blacksmith voice. It wouldn't be
You are black.
I can only do 25% of the blacksmith voice. That's the amount I'm allowed to do.
So Ethan Hawke explains that he went to the Dinsmore house every weekend while Joe was raising him, and they paid him for it. The Dinsmore did. We see scenes of him dancing with Estella, and while they're dancing, we get a flash forward to them to your point earlier, in high school now, but played by the adult versions of themselves, Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow. And I wrote, I guess this takes place in the 80s. So there's my explanation. So I didn't think about how much time had passed between this like high school scene and the terminus of the film. Estella is going to a party and Finn offers to take her. He wears one of his sister's jackets with his outfit. And I wrote here that Joe seems like a great guy. Again, he's really supporting Finn and his like weird relationship with this rich girl who seems to have some disdain for him. Finn shows up to the party, but he isn't let in by the man guarding at the gate. But Estella shows up outside and asks him to take her away from the party. They go back to Finn's house, and Joe's not home. Finn says he's out playing dominoes. We see some of Finn's art. He's drawn a lot of pictures of Estella. And Estella tells him that he'd have to go to New York if he wanted to make it as an artist. And I wrote here, Ethan Hawke looks so goofy in this role.
Okay, I'm glad, because at first I was concerned that your takeaway from this scene was that Joe seems like a good guy, because who fucking cares? The real takeaway from this scene is the fucking wig that they put Ethan Hawke in to make him look like he's 17 or 18 years old. You know who he looked like? He looked like Ben Stiller playing Simple Jack in Tropic Thunder. Yes. That is exactly who he looked
same
like.
Thing. That is the exact same comparison I made in my mind.
Simple Jack, the story of a mentally impaired farmhand who can talk to animals, was a box office disaster that many critics called one of the worst movies of all time.
I ain't got a good brain.
I was so concerned that he was going to have that wig for the remainder of the film.
So was I. I was like, oh my God, he's supposed to be like a hot guy. And like, this is what they made him look like. So that's like the thing about the character, right? Like it's young, hot Ethan Hawke. He's supposed to be like poor and kind of, like maybe a little simple, but he's really hot.
Not that
and I was
simple.
like, man, is this what he's going to look like? Like, I don't know. But fortunately not. They will take the wig off in a couple of scenes. I didn't know here. I had thought that maybe he fingered her in this scene. But then I wondered at the end if maybe he didn't, because he does stick his hands up her skirt, though.
We get a nice upskirt shot. That was necessary.
I didn't interpret that
but
as
nothing
fingering.
sexual happened between them.
I thought he was just feeling her up.
Just feeling?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Over the panties, I think.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, did he finger blast her? Maybe not. Ask the others. So I'm just following my instructions to future Mike.
You know, that's interesting because I also had a question that I think is a little sexual in nature, but this is an explicit podcast as marked in Apple Podcasts and other choice podcast apps. My question here is, how many pumps do you guys think you would last with 1998 Gwyneth Paltrow? I can go first if it would help.
Go ahead.
I think I would last 3 pumps.
3?
3?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
I wrote 3.
I could go for a long time.
With 1998 Gwyneth Paltrow?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm such a fan of the film Seven, and I feel like she's really in peak form in those, like peak 90s form. Like she's very 90s hot, you know?
She is unbelievably hot in this movie.
Yeah. But you think you could last a while with her?
I agree. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Good.
I'm confident.
I could last a while.
So you both think you could last many pumps with
Call me if it's
1998
Winona
Gwyneth
Ryder.
Paltrow?
1998 Winona
Okay.
Ryder. Now
Sure.
you're talking.
Okay. Yeah, okay, Mike. Who's a 90s celebrity with whom you would not last so many pumps?
I just have a lot of stamina.
I don't believe that for a fucking second. I don't believe that for a goddamn minute.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, listen, you asked this question.
That's your defense.
No, it's not a defense. I'm just telling you, like, dozens, hundreds. That's how many.
Okay.
Dozens
All right.
to hundreds.
I'm calling bullshit here. I don't know if I'm hitting the alarm. I don't know if I buy
You
this.
want me
but
to
that's
confirm
fine.
or deny, or is that cursed knowledge?
Listen. I that's cursed knowledge. I don't think that I or the citizens of the Nero Nation need to hear that.
So he doesn't finger blast her, but they do make out, and then she leaves abruptly.
She got finger blasted.
She also
he goes
tells
to the
him
Dinsmore.
She tells him she's going to Paris in French. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, I didn't.
Yes.
No, okay.
Yeah, I didn't have subtitles on.
He says, I'm going, he says something like, well, I see you tomorrow. And she says in French, I'm going to France tomorrow. And he says, I don't speak French. And she says, what a shame, in French. And leaves. That's how she says goodbye.
There you go. Spoiler alert, Caroline, I guess for those who know how to speak French. Finn goes back to the Dinsmore house the next day, and we get a crazy monologue from Nora about how men need to pay because her heart was broken, and she's raised Estella to be a heartbreaker, essentially to get revenge on men as a category of human.
It means omerta. It means rewenge.
For her ex-fiance.
Incel coded.
Yeah, super incel coded. She tells Finn that Estella's gone to school overseas. To your point, Caroline, she's gone to Paris. And Finn decides now that Estella's gone that he's going to focus on fishing instead of women. He works with Joe. He gets a normal haircut. He looks a lot cooler.
They explicitly say that 7 years have passed.
And I guess they explicitly say that 7 years have
passed. So you
passed.
can figure out the whole timeline.
Yep. There you
just
go.
missed that. The only thing being said at the time.
An attorney comes to visit him, a guy from New York, and he offers him an art show exhibit of just him in New York City, care of a lady named Erica Thrall. He also gives him a plane ticket to New York and 1,000 big ones for expenses.
I'll take it.
But Finn says no.
There isn't a lot to say about this. Book-wise, goes down basically the same. Miss Havisham stops calling him over. Ms. Yes. Ms. Havisham stops inviting him over to play with Estella, but he is irrevocably in love with her. She never gives him the time of day. She's pretty explicit that she does not like him, will never like him, and that he is nothing to her for basically their entire relationship. But he's fallen for her. Ms. Havisham stops calling him when he's like around 13, and he apprentices with Joe as a blacksmith. But now that he's had a taste of the fancier life, he is not happy as a blacksmith and wants to make himself worthy of Estella, even though she's made it very clear she's not interested.
So after the attorney comes, guy's name was Ragno. I didn't write that until the next paragraph. He goes to see Dinsmore. I wrote here, oh my God, she looks even more like the weapons lady. Her makeup's become like more dramatic at this point in the movie now that now that Estella
your
left.
comments, it's like that meme where it's like guy who's like only ever seen the film Weapons. And then like, oh, this film is giving me a lot of Weapons vibes.
Did you guys not think this? We just watched Weapons together like a month and a half ago.
I thought about Baby Jane.
I liked Weapons. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah, Weapons is a nice movie.
What is Baby Jane?
Have you ever seen or heard of what happened to Baby Jane?
No.
Who is Baby Jane?
Oh my God. It's like a 1960s movie with Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. Famously, they did not get along on set, and Betty Davis plays an elderly former child star who does her makeup like that. And I think she was the person who thought of that. And so if you want to have crazy old lady, you do that makeup, and that's like kind of a Baby Jane thing. It's a pretty okay film, very campy. But yeah, I guess you guys didn't know about that.
Okay,
kind of like
you.
Weapons. You know?
Yeah, very
Hey, why don't you guys write into ourherodeniro@gmail.com and tell us if you thought that Nora Dinsmore from the 1998 film Great Expectation looks like the lady from Weapons. Okay?
The lady from Weapons
Thanks,
owes a lot to this portrayal of Miss Havisham from 1998's Great Expectation.
I agree. Yeah.
She walked so that the lady from Weapons could run.
So he goes to Dinsmore's house to ask her about the attorney. He thinks that she arranged it. She tells him that Estella's in New York, and that makes him want to go. So he decides that he's going to accept the offer from the attorney and go to New York. He shows up. Everybody in New York is very stereotypical New Yorkers. They're very loud and very mean. I wrote, "That's New York, baby."
I'm walking here, etc.
Yeah, I'm walking here. Yep.
Forget
he goes
about
to see the art lady, whatever her name was, Thrall, and she's super weird. He paints some pictures at the park and then drinks from a water fountain, and somehow Estella is there and kisses him through it. She invites him to meet her out for drinks with some friends and says she's glad he's there. And I wrote here, and I think this is critical. Like, this is the moment where it all really started to fall apart for me. There is just no fucking way Estella would be normal. Like, she has a normal life. Like, she seems to have like a normal like guy who she's in a relationship with. She has normal friends. Presumably she has like a job, and like this lady was raised in like a dilapidated mansion by the weapons lady. She seems like she has such a good personality, and like, yeah, she seems like she's kind of like a weirdo, like narcissist sociopath, but like she gets on real normal. Like, she seems to get along with people in a normal way. And like, I don't know, does that feel believable to you guys, that a person with that child could possibly have grown up to be this normal?
She should have been a ward of the state.
Oh, yes,
right. Like, there's no way. She wouldn't even be living on her own with that upbringing, let alone be like a beautiful socialite whom everyone loves. It's completely insane.
She is wearing like a jacket with one button and nothing underneath, though, so that's a little strange, but in a very chic way. I mean, she's 1998 Gwyneth Paltrow, so she can make it work.
Yeah.
And so again, I will say, I think this is a further evidence for my argument that the narrative is supposed to be unreliable, especially the specific dramatic circumstances of her upbringing. I really don't think that's what it's supposed to have been like. I think that's the explanation for her being normal.
I think she actually looks like a dream girl from that Lonely Island song.
No. I think the adult memory is real. Like, I think that's real. I don't think that Nora was actually as crazy as Finn remembered her being when he was a kid. And I don't think the house was nearly as dilapidated.
But he interacts with Nora as an adult. He visits the mansion again as an adult.
She is crazy. I just don't think she was that crazy.
I feel
she's
like
obviously nuts.
She was the same amount of crazy in childhood and in adulthood. Like, it seemed, I don't know, either that or...
Right. I don't think there's a substantial enough difference between his recollection of his childhood and when he revisits these people and places as an adult to justify this hypothesis of yours.
I just don't think that I agree.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
I think it works to support the Lustig popping out of the water. That doesn't make any sense, but I can see how that
was just
is the
pure
way
cinema.
You remember it.
That shit was dope.
But the rest of it, I think, is, I don't know, it doesn't work as well.
Then why does he say it?
I don't know.
Listen, like I said, I'm not saying necessarily that I think it was successful. I'm just saying I think this was Ole Alfonso's point. I think that is like the story he was trying to tell was one specifically about the unreliability of childhood memory.
I agree with that. I think that he didn't. Yeah, I think he didn't do it very well, or did it very inconsistently. So you can't really follow that thread very well through the movie because things, in many cases, seem to be what they were, and there isn't a lot of stuff where it's like, well, wait, that doesn't make sense in a fallibility of childhood memory type of a way. It's more like that seems like a plot hole type of a way.
This is why you cannot trust children's testimonies in court. Okay? Bring it back to Michael Jackson, okay? These children are too unreliable.
Wow.
Shmona.
Wow. Okay. All right. That was a choice.
My recommendation this week is going to be Thriller.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a great song. So he goes to drinks. It's at a really bougie place, and Stella tells her friends whom they're there with that Finn was her first love and talks about a portrait he painted of her, and he says that he'd like to paint another. She's in a relationship with this guy named Walter, who's played by Hank Azaria. Walter,
put your dick away, Walter. I'm not having sex with you right now, Walter.
Kid named Finger. She goes to Finn's apartment while he's in bed. Super weird. She just like walks in and wakes him up and tells him that now is the time that she wants him to paint her. So he does. And I think that the thing about Gwyneth Paltrow is, in this era, you can't really see it when she's dressed, but in this scene where she's disrobing, you can really see the anorexia.
Very much so.
And that was that was a little hard for me, honestly.
Right.
Like, she looks incredibly unhealthy.
I want to be clear. That is what I meant by 90s hot. We're talking about different beauty standards back then. But she has very nice features, she's very pretty lady.
She's an incredibly beautiful woman. Like I said, with clothes on. Yeah. Very attractive.
And for that reason, I would like to, at this point in the film, revise my earlier pump number down from 3 to 2.5. I think I would last 2.5 pumps.
Because of the anorexia?
Well, as a pump, no, because she's getting naked, and the oh my God. So the cinematography here is by what's his name, Emmanuel Lubezki. I kept wanting to write Jonathan Lipnicki in my notes. But he's a great cinematographer, Emmanuel Lubezki. And he's collaborated with Cuarón on a few different films. He's really notable cinematographer, having worked on films like Gravity, among others. And just the composition of the shots and the lighting is so like painterly and stylish that really making everyone here look their best, except for the old lady who wasn't quite bringing that heat.
And this scene is incredible. And it is, I think, the high point of the film cinematographically. It's really, really cool. She stands in front of the window and gets naked, and we get an awesome painting montage. In general, I agree with you, Mike. Like, I don't love montages as a general rule, but I think this is such a good montage. It's really cool. I feel like it really carries you through the scene and helps you to feel like this kind of fevered emotion that Finn is supposed to be feeling in this moment. That's powering this crazy creative output that he's gonna do as a result of this experience, and it's really, really cool. She leaves abruptly again, and he chases her downstairs barefoot and gets into her cab. And I wrote here, and so I would invite you guys to share any context. She gives a crazy monologue about something I don't understand. I didn't want to rewind the film, but I had no fucking idea in the scene what she was talking about. Do you guys remember anything about the monologue she gives in the cab with Finn?
No.
No, wasn't it just about her fucked up childhood and how she was basically weaponized by her aunt?
By her weapons aunt, weaponized.
I mean, exactly. There are parallels.
Yep.
I think that was the point of it. Was just about how emotionally, stunted she is, how she's incapable of loving any man.
Yeah, probably what it is. So let's talk about this now. I've got some targeted questions to ask you, Caroline.
Oh boy.
So can we talk now So I understand at a high level from Great Expectations, the novel, that it's about the character of Pip entering high society, essentially, right? Like it's about this like crazy edge case of like class mobility and like how that happens to him. So how much of this is what happens in the novel? Is he an artist? What is the nature of like Estella's like social circle that she's a part of? How does he get introduced to that? Is she in a relationship with like another man? What is this man like? Like, is he like Hank Azaria's character in this film? Just talk about that a little bit.
So in the novel, he is not an artist, but again, he is like a poor boy who comes into unfathomable miracle wealth, which he wants to use to pursue Estella, and to become a gentleman. And Estella is basically just sent out in the world to break men's hearts. Like that is her purpose. That was chosen for her by her insane adoptive mother. They don't really have that much to do with each other. In the novel, Pip thinks about her a lot. They like cross paths, but they don't. They certainly don't have as much to do with each other as they do in the movie. The movie is more about like the trajectory of that relationship, whereas the book is a lot more about like class as a whole and how riches can blind you to what's really important in life. And also some crazy coincidences that happen.
What are you laughing about, Mike? I was thinking about how you think this film is all about unreliable narration, like it's The Usual Suspects or something.
I'm not saying that's all it's about. I'm saying that is a concerted, like literary device and storytelling framework that the creative folks are engaging in, that is essential to the structure of the film, that we understand the childhood portions to be embellished in the way they're depicted.
The character's name is Finn because he saw a dolphin fin when he was trying to sneak Robert De Niro to Mexico.
It's the stupidest fucking conversation we've had in 40 episodes of this podcast.
45, baby.
All right. And what about Estella's paramour? Is he a character in
Hank Azaria in the novel?
Yes, Hank Azaria in the novel.
She does have a fiance.
She's just referred to as Hank Azaria in the text.
Very British name.
Whose name is Drummel. He is the guy that. Yeah, all the names are very
kid
silly.
named Drummel.
Kid named Drummel. And so Pip obviously does not like him. There's this one scene where they are happen to be in front of the same fireplace, and Dickens goes to great lengths to talk about how like they're both shoulder to shoulder, like trying to shove each other, so that neither one of them has more of the fireplace. But he isn't a weak-coded type of man the way that he is in the movie. He's just some guy, and Estella agrees to marry him because she figures that would be fine for her. She knows that she is a broken person, and she may as well marry this guy as any other because she is broken. I don't know if you're going to say more about stuff, but there is a scene that I could talk about that has
you don't have to. He'll get to it.
Yeah, I don't want to.
You don't know. You don't know if I'm going to tell the rest of the story. I think I might just stop here, like 75% of the way through the film.
One never knows what you will omit in your recaps, Michael.
All right. So speaking of Hank Azaria, Walter comes to Finn's apartment and tells Finn all about how he's struggling to commit to Estella and how he thinks that that's why she's doing this like sort of love triangle thing with Finn, that she's essentially trying to make Walter jealous and get him to commit. We get some Ethan Hawke narration. He says that at this point he got a letter from Ms. Dinsmore, encouraging him. And he notes that he feels like Ms. Dinsmore, whom, by the way, he thinks is his secret benefactor, as I stated, must be doing this to help him be equal to Estella. I wrote, why does he think that? And, I don't know. It's a really dumb fucking thing that he says. Like, the only thing that he knows about Nora, his relationship with her, and, like, her ideas about his relationship with Estella is that she disdains men and has explicitly told him that she raised her to break men's hearts. Like, what is it about any experience he's had with these people in his life that would make him think, oh, this must be like beneficence on the part of Ms. Dinsmore. It's read to me as like one of the stupidest lines in the entire film.
He's naive, and she's the only rich person he knows.
Well, maybe he's misremembering what she said. Really,
that's true. Yeah,
unreliable.
Certainly not Mrs. Remembering.
Very good.
Ms. Remembering.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
I love that.
He gets a crazy like studio / apartment, gigantic space that he's going to live in from the art lady, and makes a crazy raft of demands, all of which are granted. So he's flying really high right now. Like everybody's giving him whatever the fuck he wants. He gets a phone call from Estella. Walter proposed to her. She asks him if he has anything to say about it, and he says, "Congratulations." I wrote, "What's up with this guy? Why doesn't he say anything?" So let's take a moment and talk about this here, because I find the character of Finn incomprehensibly baffling. I think as viewers to this discussion, we are to understand that there is like a power / interest imbalance between Finn and Estella. Like, I think that is the story that Cuarón is trying to tell. That's not the way it ever reads to me at any point in the film, honestly. I feel like Finn always acts super aloofly toward Estella, and it actually feels like she's the one who's interested in him. Did you guys get this impression at all? Like, I was incredibly confused by like the way the chemistry and sexual tension plays in this film, and like the things the characters say in their body language, because it actually never feels like Finn is interested in Estella. I only notice that kind of sensuality from her. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I agree with that. It doesn't quite work that well, and she does like initiate all of the like sexual contact that they have.
Yep.
Which is kind of strange. And it seems like her point is to like specifically torture Finn in the movie and to like make him feel sad that he's in the friend zone. And in the book, she is never interested in him and does like flirt with other men sometimes when he is around, but always treats him like a little brother or like a friend in a way that just always hammers home the fact that like you do not have a chance with this woman. She thinks of you as not even like a little brother. You are just a prop for her to hurt other men with. And he knows that it's really dumb that he loves her, but he just says, "Dear reader, how I loved her." And I know it was dumb, but those were my feelings at the time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too. Ethan Hawke's natural vulnerability works, but other than that, I think the character Finn as written, his motivations are just so thin and he's way too passive for my liking. I actually, we'll get into it later, but I actually would have much preferred watching a film about Robert De Niro's character.
Yeah, I don't know. I was struck by it. And this was the moment where it really all kind of came together for me, because it's so obvious. Like, just to me as a human being who interacts with other human beings, it's like, well, I think this lady is calling you to tell you she's gotten engaged because she's trying to get a rise out of you. And like, she doesn't get that response, and so deigns to specifically ask him if he has anything to say about it. And he still just cucks himself. Like, it's like, so it doesn't seem like he's interested in her. Like, it's like she is rolling out the red carpet for him to like ever express any serious interest in her. And I feel like as a person, you would be like, oh, well, I should probably shoot my shot, right? Because like, it seems like she's at least like inviting that proposal, but he like never does. But then he's like really jealous, and that's supposed to be what the story is about, that he loves her. Like, what? It's pretty bad writing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
He's more of an active person in the book when he finds out about Estella's engagement. He confronts her at her home where she is with Miss Havisham, and she is knitting, and she doesn't really look at any of them. She's just like doing her own thing, knitting, real power move. And he says very passionately, basically, "I've loved you my entire life, and you've done nothing but hurt me. But I still love you, and I don't think that you should marry Drummel. I think he's a terrible person. You are like, you're worth more than that." And Miss Havisham agrees with him, and this is the first time that we see something in Miss Havisham other than her being just hating men, because she did not want Estella to marry Drummel either. And so Estella, and it's very obvious in the scene. Like, Pip is having like this emotional meltdown, basically. He's yelling, he's standing, he's all upset. And Estella is very coolly saying all this stuff, and it's pretty obvious that she is marrying this guy to get back at her mother for the insane childhood that she was given. So it's which is more interesting to me. And Pip doesn't really understand that this doesn't have to do with him, and that Estella's like relationship with her mother means more to her and is looms way larger in her mind than her relationship with him. So yeah, it's a little different in the book, and Estella just basically says, "I'm going to marry him because I am incapable. I'm incapable of like loving or being loved by anyone. But don't worry, I'm not going to be a good wife. So he's not going to enjoy his time being married to me because I'm incapable of feeling or generating happiness in others. But I am going to marry him." And Ms. Havisham says, "But I trained you to hate everyone, but I didn't think that you would ever hate me." And that's too bad for her, a little short-sighted.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting. I think that, to your points, it seems like a more sort of prominent centering of the character of Pip's identity as an orphan kind of explains his estrangement from Estella as a person a little better than the way that like part of his identity is a little bit decentered in this film. Like, you know, if he never had any parents, then he wouldn't be able to understand the way you could feel about your mother and how that would be a much more important relationship to you and a much more important part of your identity than your relationship with this like kid you saw on weekends when you were a kid, you know, who you made out with through a drinking fountain once. So he goes to an event where Estella is, but she has to leave very suddenly. And we get a montage of him being essentially like the talk of the town. Like everybody's talking about how his art show is coming up. We cut to him running after her through a rainstorm, and he ends up soaking wet in the restaurant that she left to meet Walter at for dinner. And he's not wet enough, honestly. Like he runs through this rainstorm, like he runs like it seems like miles in a torrential downpour, and then goes into like this fancy restaurant, and I swear he just looks like he's like a little damp. And it's like they would not let you in to a restaurant like that if you ran through that kind of rainstorm. At the restaurant, he asks her to dance while she's sitting at dinner with Walter, and she accepts. And so they have this really weird dance in the restaurant while Walter and whomever they were on a double date with look on from the table, and they leave the restaurant together and make out on the sidewalk in the rain. They go somewhere and sleep together. I think it was probably his apartment, and she tells him she has to go home for a week to see her aunt. Does Pip sleep with Estella in the novel?
Heavens no. Never does.
So this is a total fabrication of the adaptation. Then this entire plot line. Yeah.
Well, and here's a question for you guys: you think they raw dogged it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's wild.
How many pumps do you think he made it?
I'm hoping more than I would.
I don't know. He's been waiting for this for 13
honestly,
years.
We joke, but Finn is got to be the most sexually frustrated protagonist in all of movie history. He's been waiting his whole life to bust.
He's actually never ejaculated. That was his first time that night.
It's coming out of his ears.
Oh, Jesus. Great ejaculations.
Oh, that's gross, Caroline. Come on.
Oh, okay.
So now it is the night.
All right.
Now it is the night of Finn's exhibition. Joe shows up and everybody is really offended because he's a hick. I wrote, mostly everything he does is fine and would be seen as pleasantly eccentric in a situation like this, except for he does slap over a platter of champagne glasses.
Which anyone could do.
The tone of the scene is so confusing to me. Yeah. I think thematically, we are to understand that this is supposed to be like about the thing that Great Expectations, the novel, is about, right? Which is like about, the wages of social mobility in an extremely rigid class hierarchy, right? Like, it's like Finn has to sell his soul to become rich. Like, he is estranged from his truest self, who is Joe's adoptive son. He is this kind of hick, but he's had to estrange himself from that like real version of himself to become this art big shot. But like, you wouldn't have to do that. That's not the way America works. And so like, this scene is like totally absurd to me. I was watching this and I was like, this is not what would happen. Like, if this was actually his art show, this character would be like, oh yeah, sorry, this is my adoptive father. And like, you know, there have been a million fucking magazine profiles about me in the past month due to like the marketing blitz that like my art agent has been on for the setup of this exhibition, wherein my like identity and background have certainly been discussed as the like adoptive son of some like hick Florida fisherman. And I think it would just be totally fucking fine. Like, the scene is like ridiculous to me. It feels so contrived.
If anything, it would enhance the show to have the person who raised him in that interesting way show up and be interesting.
Yes, I agree. And nothing he does is bad. Like, he's just like a little gauche. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't hurt anybody or anything. He's just a hick. Like, it's fine. And he's wearing a suit.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a gaudy suit. Like, it looks like he got it from like Tuxedo Corner.
Yeah.
For prom. But like, it's fine. He's still dressed appropriately for the event. This would not be a big deal.
It's an art show. It's not the weirdest outfit at this function.
I don't know, Mike, what did you think about this? What did you think about this scene?
I completely agree, but we're so close to the end that I'm just going to save it for my final thoughts, because I completely agree with what you just said.
Finn goes home to Florida because he thinks Estella is there, and he goes to the Dinsmore estate, and Dinsmore tells him that she used him, she being Estella, as a pawn to get Walter to commit. She puts his hand on her boob again, the same way she did when he was a kid, and we get an insanely fake-looking CGI shot of an airplane flying. One of the funniest shots of the entire film. I don't know if you noticed this one. It made me laugh when it happened on screen, and it's a shot of Estella traveling back to New York, essentially. So we're given to understand from this shot that she's no longer in Florida. Finn goes back to New York and he bumps into Lustig, but doesn't recognize him somehow. Like, this also was insane to me. Like, this is supposed to have been a formative, traumatizing event in his childhood. But the guy who perpetrated this trauma on him shows up, doesn't look any fucking different at all than he did back then. And he like doesn't remember him at all.
Well, now he's dry.
Like, yeah, fair. Like, even after Lustig tells him who he is, it like takes him a beat. He has to say it like twice. But oh, you're Robert De Niro. That's right. Like, it's like, dude, you would remember this.
The thing that jogs his memory is he like holds his mouth closed and says, "Shut the fuck up or I'll kill you," which is what he said back then.
Yeah.
Like, that's
classic.
what it took.
Just two buddies palling around.
He probably
two
has
things
face blindness like you.
One, De Niro in the beginning of the film, he's an escaped convict, so he has no facial hair and a buzz cut. And then when he sees him 20 whatever years later, he has crazy old man, super long, like homeless man kind of hair and a thick, long beard. So I could understand not placing him at first, but it does take Finn a very long time. And between that and the whole, what the fuck was the old lady's name? Nora? Miss Nora?
Yeah,
whatever.
Ms. Dinsmore.
Ms. Dinsmore. Between that and the whole Miss Dinsmore revelation where she has to explicitly tell him like what she did and how she like weaponized Estella. Like, I don't know, how fucking stupid is Finn as a protagonist?
He's a huge
It goes beyond being naive, right? Like, I think he's just a dumbass. It's like tough to relate to.
Another thing is Lustig was supposed to have been executed. He was eventually caught by the police.
That's true. He was on death row.
There was news position and he was on death row. So he's supposed to be dead. Probably Finn has thought he's dead this whole time. Dead and bald.
Yeah, maybe.
And wet.
Dead and bald.
True. He died as he lived.
This man is alive,
bald.
has hair, and is dry. Can't be the guy.
I'm just going to read my notes. He goes into Finn's apartment to use his phone, and somehow, even though they talk and he shares his name and indicates he remembers him, Finn doesn't.
That is really good.
So he's there specifically to talk to Finn, and I wondered here, does he just want to say nice things to him? Like, he just like gives him like all these compliments about like his art and like how much he appreciated everything he did for him. But in this moment, Lustig reveals that he was his rich benefactor. So in the intervening years between Finn's childhood and the current day, Lustig has been on the lam overseas in Europe doing crimes, making a ton of money, and he's given every red penny to Finn to fund his art career. There are goons hunting Lustig because he really shouldn't have come back to New York, where he's known as the guy who killed this prominent mobster. But he just wanted to see Finn one more time and take credit for making his art exhibition happen. It's just a shame Joe embarrassed him so shamefully by wearing a tuxedo with a ruffled shirt.
What a dumb hick.
Right, instead of one with a clean placard. Yep. And so these goons are they are there at the kind of base of the building in which Lustig and Finn are in. And so Finn sneaks Lustig out of the building on the fire escape, and they flee to the subway. They're being hounded by the goons on the subway. They do this kind of like goofy Looney Tunes-esque like running gag where they get on a train when they think they're not going to get on a train. And they get on the train, and just as they feel like they're safe, one of the goons comes in and fatally stabs Lustig with a knife and runs away. In this final scene between Finn and Lustig, as Lustig is dying, he tells him that he's given him now every dollar that he ever made while he's been on the lam, and that he was the one who bought out every painting at the show. And there's a scene here, and this scene really worked for me. And it makes me want to really emphasize something that you alluded to earlier, Mike, and I'm sure you're going to cover it really heavily in your final thoughts. The scene where Lustig and Finn look at his paintings and Lustig is so emotional about them, to me, is the most emotionally impactful moment of the film. I thought that was honestly an incredibly powerful character moment for both of these characters, that Lustig, this hardened criminal, would recognize the pure-hearted act of love and support that Finn did for him, tossing the PFD to save his life, even though he didn't have to when he was a kid, and be obsessed with him and love his art and think about him for the rest of his life. That felt really true to me. It was one of the only things that a character did or felt in the film that felt like the way a person would actually react if these things happened to them. And it actually found it a little bit emotionally affecting. So I really, really enjoyed this scene. And then Lustig dies. R.I.P. Yep, died as he lived. Bleeding out on a train
in a dirty New York City subway car. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's sad. Oh my God.
So Finn moves to Paris. Eventually, he comes back to visit Joe at home, and he's become a very famous artist in Paris. Dinsmore died. He goes to the estate and narrates that the mansion is to be torn down, and he goes there. He finds Estella on the back, it's just a giant patio overlooking the Gulf, I guess. And she's standing out there with her young daughter, who looks exactly like she did when she was a child. And so Finn thinks it's an hallucination when he first sees her. And they just have a tender moment together, holding hands, and the film ends. That is Great Expectations. Caroline, why don't you tell us your final thoughts? And why don't you also talk to us about, ways the provenance of Pip's wealth in the novel vary from what we learn about the provenance of Finn's wealth and success as an artist, being Lustig in the film. And obviously talk about the ending as well. What is kind of featured in the ending.
So in the book, it is also Magwitch, the convict he helped, who has been his benefactor this whole time. A lawyer named Jaggers set this up for him and said that he will have access to a guaranteed allowance, and the only stipulation is that he has to remain Pip for his whole life and never try to find out who his benefactor is. He also mistakenly thinks that it is Miss Havisham, and he tries to thank her for it in a roundabout way, and she kind of leads him on and lets him think that it is her, even though it is not. He also has a friend named Herbert Pocket, who is not in the movie at all. basically he's a very good friend, and Pip, to show that he has not gone totally mercenary with all of these riches, he decides that he wants to try and set Herbert up to be a gentleman like him. So he uses some of the money that he has to like support Herbert. When Magwitch appears again and says it was him the whole time, his reasoning for helping Pip out seems to be a little bit less altruistic. Like, De Niro's character seems to just love the idea of this pure boy who's an artist, and like good things should happen to this person. He's the only person who's ever done anything nice for me. I really want all of this boy's dreams to come true. I am going to be his personal Make-A-Wish Foundation. In the book, Magwitch says that he did all of this for Pip because while he was in and out of jail, while people were abusing him, he always thought to himself, you are abusing me, you're the police, you think you have so much power, but I created a gentleman with my wealth. I have this pet boy that doesn't know I exist, but I made him a gentleman and you don't even know that, and that makes me feel better about myself. So that's all of that. Anyway, when Pip realizes where his ill-gotten wealth has come from, he decides he can no longer take Magwitch's money and goes to Miss Havisham and says, basically, you knew that you weren't my benefactor, but you knew that I thought that you were. That wasn't that nice, and now we've both lost Estella. Could you do me a favor? I really want to set up my friend Herbert to live nicely. And for some reason, she says yes, and she seems to be very sorry for like all the things she's done. Says, I hope you can forgive me. I really fucked up raising this kid. And then she catches on fire and burns to death horribly. And Pip is her
like spontaneously?
No, her wedding dress catches fire.
Why would it be spontaneously?
She's always next to a fireplace, and
okay.
So Pip does like he's walking out of the room, and then all of a sudden he turns around and Mrs. Havisham is like running towards him, and she is a pillar of fire, and that's how she dies. But
that's some fucking weapons shit right there, dude.
Yeah. Luckily, she signed all of the legal paperwork necessary to set Herbert up for life.
Oh, good.
They contrive to try and get Magwitch out of the country because even though Pip feels really weird that all of his money came from this like murderer, he still doesn't want to do the guy dirty. He tries to smuggle him out of the country, but is caught by his former accomplice Compeyson, who set him up to go to prison for a crime they both committed. Also, by the way, he was Miss Havisham's fiance who left her at the altar. Like I said, there are a lot of kind of stupid coincidences in this book. The two of them fight. He kills Compeyson, but is mortally wounded. And then when Pip and Magwitch are spending time together, Magwitch is in prison. He spends some time with him at his deathbed. And I'm not going to talk about how this comes to be, but it turns out that Magwitch is Estella's father. So his parting words to Magwitch.
What?
Yes. It's real dumb. It's real dumb. I won't get into it, but yeah, he's Estella's father. He thought she had died many years ago, but Pip says, "Don't worry. Your daughter lived. She grew up hot, and I love her." And that makes Magwitch feel really happy. So then he dies happily. Then Pip returns to Joe, and he thinks, well, Estella's already married. I may as well marry the maid who has worked for us our whole life and who I think loved me our whole childhood. But wouldn't you know, he gets there on the day she marries Joe. So it's a good thing he didn't tell her that he loved her. So yeah, that all happens. And then he does meet Estella again in the ruins of the old house. 11 years hence, he's still a bachelor. She has separated from her husband. They hold hands, and it's ambiguous what will happen in the future, but it's kind of implied that maybe they will finally get together. There was another ending written where they forgive each other, and then they never see each other again, but in this one it's more ambiguous. So yeah, little different. I did that as quickly as I could. I skipped a lot.
I guess that we think about these great works of literature from like the mid 19th century as, what they have been seen to be, reverently looking back as great works of literature. But as you talk about this, I reflect upon how, novels in the 1860s were actually like the soap operas of the 1990s, and how Charles Dickens wrote this as like a, bi-weekly magazine article that he was making up as he went. Right?
Yeah.
Like he was probably just really excited to be able to throw some of these plot twists in at the end. Like he went back and read some of the old chapters he's written for previous magazine issues and was like, oh shit, we never talked about who Estella's dad is. That's a really fun opportunity for me to do a callback here.
Estella's mom is also a stupid contrivance. So
yeah. Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing all that. So what'd you think of the film?
So I liked the film. I liked it. I think that it failed in what it was trying to do in a lot of ways. And it's like when you watch the film, you're like, this film is not very good. But when you remember the film, you kind of remember it fondly. I really liked the way that the film looked. I like the art montage, like you said, and I really like some of the places in the film. Like the fact that it does not work as a story in the modern era, but transposing like the creepy British moors to like kind of creepy in a different way Florida with like the Spanish moss and like the sense of decay. I think that works. And there are a lot of like really interesting places and like vibes in the film. I think that it fails in a lot of what it's trying to do. And I kind of think it should have just been its own story, not trying to be Great Expectations. But overall, I think it was fine. I wasn't sad that I saw it. It's not a horrible film.
You gonna give us a star rating?
Sure. I think I give it a 3-star.
Never listened to the podcast before?
You could tell her.
You didn't give me I didn't know if we were doing the stars yet. I didn't know. Anyway, 3 stars.
Well, that's because Mike asked you the world's longest compound question. What were your thoughts on the film? And also describe 3 other things about the novel. 3 out of 5, huh?
Yep, 3 out of 5.
What about you, Mike? What did you think of this film?
I respect the 3 out of 5. That was actually my original rating for the film after having watched it a couple of nights ago. But I'm actually adjusting it downward, much like the number of pumps that I would last with 1998 Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm giving Great Expectations 2.5 out of 5. Oof. So here's my rationale. This is very much style over substance. I really liked the look and feel of the film, which is, due to Cuarón's direction and Jonathan Lipnicki's cinematography. Really beautiful, lush. Well, I've heard it both ways.
Emmanuel Lubezki.
Yeah, I know. I was making a callback to earlier in the episode.
Oh, you did it so earnestly that I thought it was an honest mistake.
Ethan Hawke was great, playing this grounded, earnest, likable protagonist, even though I thought the character of Finn was pretty thinly written. So I really like the stylistic flair of the film. Mm-hmm. But I think as an adaptation, I never bought into this transposition of Dickens into a modern art film context. It did not work for me. It seemed totally unnatural, and the choices that they made, I didn't think it did a good job of adapting the story. I mean, it is held together with a very 90s soundtrack and a lot of Ethan Hawke narration. I also did not buy into the character of Paltrow's Estella at all. I mean, it worked a little bit for me when they were kids, but by the time they were adults, she was so underwritten that it didn't work for me. And the eccentricities of the Dickens story, like the whole reclusive rich woman, living in this decrepit mansion by herself with her young niece, it came off as silly to me. And that's not how it's supposed to come off. I think it was supposed to be a little more haunting in the original novel, if memory serves. So I didn't hate the film, but I could never fully invest in it emotionally. So as a 90s time capsule, as this stylish, artsy late 90s adaptation, sure, it was okay. And that's why I'm landing on a 2.5 out of 5.
Well said. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything either of you said. I think that for me, while I agree with what you said, Mike, that it is a real classic example of style over substance, nothing about this film makes any sense. The style just worked so well for me that I think that I, too, am going to go with 3 stars. It's just slightly better than average for me. Certainly not a great film by any means, or anything that I expect to go back and watch again. So some of the things I liked. Overall, I thought the performances were good. I really enjoyed De Niro's kind of understated performance. And I thought that while sometimes when he doesn't show up very much, like in Angel Heart, for example, it just ends up feeling like he's being shoehorned in, because the character he's playing is like so larger than life to be almost essentially mythologized by the nature of the story. I feel like the fact that De Niro only shows up for like 7 or 8 minutes of runtime in this film actually worked quite well, because it's this character in Finn's life who just looms so large in his memory. He doesn't have to see him very much. He has a very powerful presence on screen. The character is very understated in the way that he presents himself. That being said, I do think that Finn not recognizing him when he returns undercuts that a little bit. Like, it undercuts the kind of significance of and gravity of the relationship these two characters are supposed to have. Totally agree with you, Mike. The character of Estella makes absolutely no sense. I said it 15 or 20 minutes ago in the recap. She would be such a weirdo. She would barely be able to fucking feed herself if like this was the woman she'd been raised by and the environment that she grew up in. The fact that she's this beautiful, rich socialite whom everyone wants to marry is absurd. Like, dude, she grew up in like, like a dilapidated mansion with broken glass all over the floor and like vines growing on every surface. Like, she did not grow up to inhabit the uppermost echelons of like late 90s era New York City. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense.
She probably shit on the floor growing up.
Right. Exactly. Like, you think she learned not to shit on the fucking floor when she was like 19 years old? You think that she was able to train that out of herself? Like, I don't know. I think
maybe Hank Azaria would hit her with a newspaper whenever she would do that. Toilet. Go in the toilet.
Oh, God. But some other things that I really, really like. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I really enjoy the cinematography of this film. I think it's extremely well shot. I think that Cuarón's direction is excellent. I think it's edited nicely. It's very breezy because the subject matter is really heavy and sometimes the things that are happening don't make a lot of sense. But it's 111 minutes long, and I feel like unlike some almost 2-hour films that we've watched for this podcast, it actually feels even a little shorter than that. It's a pretty breezy film. It goes down real easy. And it's nice. I'd like to talk as well a little bit about my general thesis about the unreliable nature of the narration. I am completely convinced, much to your guys' chagrin, that I am correct about this. But I do want to acknowledge it doesn't work. They did a very bad job of implementing it. Like, we get these moments, right? Like, it's like, to your comment, Mike, the fact that Estella is growing up in this like dilapidated mansion, where are the truancy officers?
Yeah.
Like, where's fucking social services? It was 1985, not like 1920. We had the kind of structure and trappings of the modern world where if this was a house that anybody knew a child was being raised in, somebody would be getting involved. Somebody would be looking at this. And to my earlier comment, that child would not grow up to be not only a normal person, but like a 95th to 99th percentile successful and desirable person. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Later on, the things that the film is trying to do thematically about stressing like the sort of like, I guess, moral hazard of losing track of who you really are to become a different person and inhabit a different world, it does not feel true to me as an American. Does this feel true to you guys as an American? Like, do you think that people who grow up poor have to like essentially lay waste to who they were and disabuse themselves of everything they loved and everyone they loved as a child to inhabit that world?
Definitely not. And I feel like art, becoming a successful artist, is one of those things that it can come from anywhere, and often does come from anywhere. It's not like, in Victorian England, a blacksmith's son suddenly hobnobbing with gentlemen. Like, that is unheard of. But like, artists can come from anywhere. That's not like remarkable. And he was really only kind of like short with Joe that one time. And I think I remarked to you when the movie was going, it kind of seems like he's rich for like a week or two. And like, and like that, it ruins his life that he was really wealthy for like a week or two and had that art show. So yeah, it just doesn't work in the modern era, and it doesn't work in America. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's the side effect of the film's short length. I think we needed more of Ethan Hawke's Finn interacting, with members of high society. There just isn't enough of that because, he's just an eccentric artist type living in a warehouse, making his little smeary 30-second portraits and like whatever. I don't think it would actually be that much of a problem. I think we needed more of that contrast to understand why he feels shame about his history and why he, feels the need to hide who he really is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Love Robert De Niro. Love De Niro's performance. The character of Lustig and his relationship with Finn is definitely the thing about the film that works the best for me. But that being said, as I stated, the style works very, very well for me. And so I reluctantly like this film. And to repeat, I assign it 3 stars out of 5. So there you go. That's Great Expectations. Caroline, do you have a film that you would like to recommend, either in addition to or in lieu of Great Expectations?
I do. It is 2024's Challengers, which I don't think has been recommended yet. I
don't think so.
So it is it's a film about a love triangle, but it is also about a relationship that forms very early in life under strange circumstances and is very erotically charged and then lasts throughout a life. So kind of how some kids raise each other in various ways. It's also about tennis. So, a little different. But if you're looking for a film that has more of that moody sort of vibey stylishness and also an eroticism that works and isn't children making out in a drinking fountain, probably because she doesn't know how to use a cup. That's the only way she can drink is out of a fountain.
She shits in that drinking fountain. Can you believe she finds that erotic?
And now Finn does too, and he has to live with the drinking fountain kink. Anyway, that is my recommendation is Challengers. I also alluded to another Alfonso Cuarón and Patrick Doyle pairing, and that was A Little Princess. I was going to recommend it, but I watched that as an adult recently, and it doesn't really hold up as an adult. But to all of my 90s girls out there, give it another watch. I'm sure that the nostalgia will carry you through. It's not a good thing to watch for the first time as an adult, though. So Challengers is my recommendation.
There you go. Love Challengers. Unrepentant 5-star from me.
Same.
What about you, Mike? What film would you like to recommend either in lieu of or in addition to Great Expectations?
Yeah, Challengers also a 5-star film for me as well. I love that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score.
It's one of the greatest film scores of all time, I think. Certainly of the past couple of years.
Really fun. I went in an unusual direction for my recommendation. I thought about going with an Alfonso Cuarón film. Children of Men is one of my favorite films of all time, but didn't do that. Yeah. Could have gone with Ethan Hawke and, with First Reformed, another one of my favorites of all time. Couldn't do that. No, instead, this is a secret. I kept this hidden from you people. I watched this film for the first time a few nights ago and deliberately didn't log in on Letterboxd because I wanted to share it with you right now on this here podcast. I'm recommending the 2005 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, directed by Joe Wright and starring Keira Knightley and what's his fucking name? Matthew McFadden.
It. I'm so happy.
I've never seen that movie. Yeah.
This was a Caroline recommendation. It took me, I don't know about decades. It took me years to watch. We weren't even talking when the film came out. Years. It just took a few years. But what got me was you told me that I was vaguely a Mr. Darby-esque character.
Darcy.
God damn it, whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, if I can ADR that in post.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Caroline told me that I was a Darcy-esque character, and that's what I knew I had to watch it at some point, and I thought, adaptations of classic English novels, whatever, this could be the time to watch it. And I thought it was so much more successful as an adaptation than Great Expectation was. It had beautiful cinematography. It was accessible. It was much more emotionally engaging. I really did love the romance between the main characters. I was very invested over the course of the film. It's similar in length. It's right around 2 hours long. And I just thought that it was... I understood the critical acclaim for it and why its popularity has endured over the last 20 years. So yeah, I think if maybe you weren't sold on Great Expectations by our recap, then maybe consider Pride and Prejudice if you're looking for a little romance in your life.
I love that.
What are you gonna give it on the 5-point scale?
I think it's probably a solid 4 out of 5.
Nice.
I think that's what my heart's telling me after a few days.
I'm sorry, Caroline. I didn't mean to cut you off. You deserve the opportunity to respond to this momentous occasion.
I'm so excited that you watched it. I'm so excited that you liked it. And do you agree that you share some traits with Mr. Darby?
Oh my God,
Mr. Darby.
Listen, I saw it throughout the film, but there's a moment later in the film where he's waiting for some characters to deliberate on something that's related to him, and he's waiting outside of this house, and he's just sitting there silently, and then he just stands up and starts pacing back and forth outside of the house, and I thought, fuck. I am this guy. It's like,
got your ass.
I'm a huge pacer. I wish I could be pacing while I record this podcast. Good recommendation on Caroline's part, and now a good recommendation on my part.
Yes.
There you go. I've never seen that film. I might watch it tonight.
Oh my
Yeah, I doubt that.
gosh, let's watch it together.
Oh yeah, Caroline might actually push you over the edge.
Joke.
No.
Yeah.
I ask again, do you not listen to the podcast?
Sometimes you
Like,
actually watch the film immediately after.
Never that night. It's one of our bits.
It's a bit. Yeah, it's like a callback. I don't know if it's a
I guess
joke.
I thought that you intended to watch them that night and then just pushed it off a night or two. So I thought you were.
Well,
being
yeah, I mean,
genuine
I
and
always
just
do.
flaking out.
But the joke is that Mike's got my fucking number and he knows that I am totally full of shit. Like, yeah, I don't lie. I'm not lying when I say that. I never actually will.
Sounds like I should have.
It's just
had
something I imagine I might want to do.
Expectations.
Yes. Yep. Well, there you go. Great recommendations, both. I have a fantastic recommendation to make today. I am so excited to get to recommend this film. I only watched this film for the first time 4 weeks ago, and I am so excited about it. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite films I've seen for the first time in the past year, and so I am thrilled to be able to recommend it so soon after first seeing it. I would like to recommend the 1993 Martin Scorsese film, The Age of Innocence, which was recommended to me by my beautiful wife, Caroline.
This is the happiest moment of the podcast for me. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Loved this movie. We have been watching so much Scorsese lately, and similar to the way I feel like Mean Streets is kind of an underappreciated Scorsese masterpiece, I think because it was from so early in his career, and to Mike's notes in the episode, is very raw relative to some of his later work. I think Age of Innocence is totally underappreciated because it's like a weird romantic drama. And that's not the kind of film, yes, and a period piece. And that's not the kind of film that Scorsese is thought of as directing, but it is such an incredible film. It is an adaptation of an Edith Wharton novel from the early 20th century about the American aristocracy during the Victorian era, and about this very complicated love triangle between Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Winona Ryder. And
Winona
just
Ryder.
the class. Yep. Oh, 90s Winona Ryder. She is unbelievably beautiful in this film. For what it's worth, so is Michelle Pfeiffer. It's a film of beautiful people. Yeah. Yep. It's just about the complex social expectations and mores of the era, and just about what a dumbass Daniel Day-Lewis's character is, even though he thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the film. It's funny. It's beautiful. It is incredibly well directed. It has some of the best costume and set design I have ever seen in a film, and it is just a fucking delight. Much like Challenger's completely unrepentant 5-star, one of the best new films I've seen this year. It works very well as a companion, a much better companion to Great Expectations, as it is both an adaptation of a novel and a romantic drama, and I could not possibly recommend it more full-throatedly. It is an incredible film.
I want you to know something. I added it to my watch list, but I have no intentions of watching it anytime soon. I'm so Scorsese'd out right now. I'm not watching any of his shit until long after this podcast is done. But I look forward to watching it at some point. It sounds nice.
It is really nice. All right, and with that, it is time for the next segment, The Roll. Mike's rolling this week. Mike, what are you hoping to roll, my good buddy?
You know, I'm just going to put it out there in the world. I would love to roll a little film called Silver Linings Playbook. Mm-hmm. I think
me too.
I think it's what the country needs right now. I think it's what the world needs.
Got to agree. There's a lot of hatred, a lot of tension in the world, and I think that if we could all just enjoy our discussion about Silver Linings Playbook, we would all feel a little more peaceful.
Agree.
So Silver Linings Playbook is number 60, 83rd in De Niro's filmography. So I'm going to go ahead and roll right now. Let's see. I rolled 6. The 1971 film Born to Win. This was the 7th film in De Niro's filmography. This is a crime. What?
Real small role.
Okay. It's a 1971 crime thriller directed by Ivan Passer in his first American film, starring George Segal, Karen Black, Paula Prentice, Hector. Yeah, we're going through a lot of names before we finally get to Robert De Niro. He's like 6th here. And you better believe, like many other De Niro films, it was filmed primarily in New York City, specifically Manhattan and Times Square. But you know what? I don't know anything about this film, but it is only 88 minutes long. So that's real nice. And I look forward to recapping that bad boy next week.
Yeah, the thing that made me say it's going to be a really small role wasn't even seeing where he was in the cast list. It was just seeing his character's name as Officer Danny.
Oh my God.
I feel like that is not that is not the name of a that's not the name of a major featured character in a story. He's gonna have 4 fucking minutes of screen time.
Listen, it was a credited role. It was early in his career.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
We take what we're given.
All right. Yeah, I mean, listen, it'll be fun to watch an old one, right? And this will be the oldest one we've seen, besides Greetings, which we only watched because it was the first one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. All right, well, there you go. I want to thank you, my co-host Mike, for being here with me, and you, friend of the pod, wife of the pod, Caroline, for being our guest and literary adaptations
Racing
consultant.
us with your presence.
Racing us. Yes.
Your knowledge.
Yep. Saluting De Niro Nation. And with that salute, I would like to remark that I also thank you, the citizens of De Niro Nation, for joining us week in and week out while we have these winding, meandering discussions about films that only loosely feature Robert De Niro in them. I would like to invite
he got paid,
you to...
That's all that matters.
Yep. I would like
and
to invite you to...
And he got to stay in New York for most of the shoot. I'll go to Florida for 3 days, not a day longer.
I would like to invite you, the citizens of De Niro Nation, to follow or like our podcast on your podcast streaming platform of choice and rate us 5 stars only, please. And follow Mike and I on Letterboxd. He is Mike Back At You, and I am Mike the Fab. And while you're at it, why don't you follow Caroline on Letterboxd as well? She is Bad Creek. I would like to invite you to write us at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. Literally anything, but more than anything unspecific this week, I really would like, if folks have seen this movie, please write in. Can someone please just vindicate my perspective on the primacy of the unreliable nature of the childhood narrative in this film? Like, I really just need someone, please, someone write in and tell me. I know you guys have seen this movie. This is a famous movie.
Why do you think that? None of us have seen it. I guess 90s. Caroline did.
I did.
Caroline.
Okay. Yeah, 1 out of 3.
Yeah, and I guess I'd just like to invite you guys to come back and join us next week when we watch 1971's Born to Win, starring Robert De Niro. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a nice week.